Hello and welcome to BETV from Buttercross Estates. I'm Daniel and this is Abby.
Hiya.
Hi. And this week we'll be talking and sharing our property of the week, Buttercross Best Buy, and also chat about some important legislation and some of the stories that have happened this week, really.
Yes, it's been an unusual one.
Indeed it has. In terms of the market this week,
Yep.
What's changed? New properties?
So we've had 11 new ones this week. Some lovely ones, some not so. But yeah, a real variation. Anything again from like 50 grand, I think was the cheapest one. And of course we're now looking up to 180. But yeah, nothing. Top end ones are looking lovely. There's a really nice one on Charles Street, but price is insane. But yeah, the ones that unfortunately have stood out most of this week are the ones that have possibly been
The grotty ones.
That's what a better phrase. Yeah,
Okay.
just not great. Potential to be great, but the prices need to drop in order to make them worthwhile because you don't pay finished money on something that's a bit of a dump and some of them.
No, and this is, but the good ones to buy, aren't they? We discussed that before.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones like these ones that need everything doing to them, it's a good opportunity to rip it all out, put new in, and then you've got a brand new house at the end of it. So.
As long as you get, the problem is the price of them.
Yes, so
There's
we'll
a
come on to
couple,
that. So
yeah.
what's the one you've picked out? Sawyer's Close.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, it's on Sawyer's Close. Yeah, number 6. So yeah, that came on this week. Potential to achieve like 550 because we have had a couple on there. It's just opposite Magdalen View.
Yeah.
But in its current state, shall we say, it is less than desirable.
So it needs a full.
It does.
Full
the kitchen
refurb,
needs
doesn't
to
it?
come out. The carpets aren't great. Lots of dark wood that would benefit from a nice tin of white gloss. And just the bedrooms, they're not even carpeted, but it's on for 124,950, which is what's the word?
Well, when we've looked at comparables, you've got what was the one 23?
Yes, number 23 sold in July last year.
Yeah.
Exactly the same layout inside, exactly the same size rooms. It actually had a new kitchen. Don't get me wrong, the bathroom was a little bit tired. The property as a whole was a bit colourful, but nothing wrong with it at all in that sense. But yeah, that's up for 109.
Okay, so just a bathroom to do on that one.
Yeah, you know, I know we appreciate we're 6 months on, but I'm not sure I could confidently say the market has changed that much that suddenly something that's in the state it's in is then worth that.
No, not at all. I think also I saw one on Old Mill Crescent had sold a 3-bed and similar style and age.
Yes,
a 3-bed had sold for 120 something.
Yeah. So it's just you just think where have they got that figure from? Is I suppose the main thing, isn't it? Because if you can get one that's done for 120 something, why would you get one that's not done for 125?
And even actually looking a little bit further afield across the train track on the gateway, just round from the crossings, a 2-bed had sold there for 121, and obviously they're modern and ready to go. So
you've got to wait up, haven't you? At the end of the day, fixer uppers are fantastic, but you've got to get them at the right price. Otherwise, you're never going to see a half decent return on it. Yeah,
indeed. I think taking into account all the work and the fees, I would say you don't want to be paying over 100 really for that.
I would agree. I was say around the 100 mark.
Yeah, probably even below that. I would say that you know to get a decent deal.
Yeah.
So they're a bit way off the mark there, but in terms of the location, it's a pretty good spot, close to the industrial estate.
Yeah, good for access to the A1, A26 as well. It's within the Coddington Primary School catchment area as well, which seems to be quite something that families are bothered about. So yeah, that helps too. Yeah.
And there's also been a bit of a stinker on Whitfield Street.
That's a view.
In Newark, so where the old post office is or was on the corner of Balderston Gate and Whitfield Street, there's a 2-bed house there, which seems quite larger than the average, let's say, but needs a lot of work.
But it's a real shame because it's got really nice character things. It's got the beams, it's got the quirky little rooms. Yeah. But unfortunately, wow. Yeah. And I'll just leave it at that, I think.
Yes. Yeah. It's not for the faint-hearted, I don't think, that one.
No. Again, similar money though.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But has the potential to be such a lovely house. But again, that price has got to come down. Yeah.
It's more of a tricky one to get the end value on to determine what's the best price to pay. But I think there'll be a lot of interest in that given the location and the amount of work needs doing, but it just comes down to what price that you'll get it for.
Yeah, it even comes like a garage, and it's, of course, it's permit parking down there as well, so it's nice and central. It's a good spot, but again,
we shall see.
Have a look. Yeah,
indeed, good. Okay. In terms of this week, one of the topics we're going to kind of cover is about landlord and legislation, and I think you had a phone call from a landlord this week. How did that go?
It was just surprising. I think, or enlightening actually is a good word for it. I got a phone call just from a landlord asking for some advice about a property. Well, they had the tenants moved out, and now they've got a new one moving in. And sort of it started off with quite a simple conversation. They just wanted to know whether the first month's rent, whether that should be given back to the tenant at the end of a tenancy, which if you're taking extra money on top of a first month's rent, that's a deposit, so that should be registered, but this poor landlord, bless her, didn't know that, unfortunately, which is, again, it's basic, that is. So as I'm sure I'd like to everybody's aware, if you are a landlord, you need to be making sure your deposit is signed and registered even within 30 days of receipt, not when we get it. If we get it first or you get it first, whoever gets it first, it's within those 30 days. Otherwise you get a charming fine of up to 3 times the amount, which can be a phenomenal amount of money depending on what it is.
But you've also got things like
about the how to rent guide.
The how to rent guide,
So
issuing
he
that.
was asking about how to evict somebody, and then we sort of went down the road of, okay, well, as long as you've issued X, Y, and Z. But this landlord wasn't aware of what how to rent guide was. Wasn't really sure what a gas cert was. And
no doubt probably hasn't issued the EPC and actually getting evidence to say that that's all been issued to the tenant.
Apparently the EPC had been done, but again, questionable whether the evidence was there or not. Bless her, she'd said that she'd taken a lot of the advice from a friend who had been a landlord, so didn't really know, I don't think, to be fair. And then didn't do the right to rent check. She sort of did part of it, not all of it. It was all just a little bit, I think they were quite overwhelmed, but they then were going on to say that actually they're looking at selling them after this one anyway, due to all the legislation. They just feel a bit overwhelmed and would like to come out of it. But as I did sort of explain, if you're keeping on top of your properties and keep on top of legislation, it's actually not as daunting as you think, and actually it is quite straightforward. If you're looking after your property correctly and you're dealing with what is the paperwork necessary, which again you have us for that, but it isn't actually as daunting as you realise the whole process, then it can be done and have a successful property business. You don't need to be sort of getting rid of it all.
But I think it comes down to experience and obviously knowledge is massively important. If you are a first time landlord, you need to be making sure that you do things properly. And if you're going to choose to let the property yourself and manage it yourself, that's fine, but make sure you join someone like EMPO, East Midland Property Owners, Residential Landlords Association, one of those that will give you the help and support as a self-managing landlord. Otherwise, you've got agents that can deal with it on your behalf, and we've had some landlords before who started off as a managed landlord. And then after a couple of years, they've taken on the management themselves, which is great. They've learned the ropes in the process, and felt comfortable to take that on. But it's not something that you'd really want to take on.
You wing it if you don't.
Exactly.
There's a nasty set of fines there, and it's for everybody's safety. That's why the stuff is there.
True.
People have got to have gas certs done. The reason why electrical safe certificates are coming in is because things should be safe, and if they're not, if without these checks, you don't know. It's legislation seems awful, but actually it is at the end of the day to make sure things are fair and safe.
Exactly. So if you're not sure about what you should be doing as a landlord, or want to get up to date with legislation, look at some landlord associations like EMPO. Speak to Giles or a dealer there. They're great guys. We've got our landlord events at the 3rd of March to get an update on legislation. So if you want to remind yourself and get up to speed, then pop along to that. Just register on our website. But there's lots of things that can go wrong, so make sure you're not one of those landlords.
So that's it from us this week. We're back next week with some more property updates for you and a new property of the week. Thanks then.
See you then.